Hi, welcome back to another episode of Baking Geek. I haven't done an episode for quite a while. It's been a few weeks. This one's been a long time coming. I've been, in the meantime, while you haven't seen me, I've been perfecting my sourdough technique. I think I've got it right. Put in the comments if I've done it wrong. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people on YouTube do it a lot of different ways, and I've tried to simplify this as much as possible, and I'll talk your way through it. I'm going to go in different stages. So we're going to go, our first stage is our way up. Okay, so let's get into it straight away. Okay, I've got 400 grams of flour here. I've got 9 grams of salt. That's slightly, okay. I'm using a sourdough culture here. This one's my 25-year-old one I'll be using today. I've got another 400-year-old one. I keep a couple going at any one point in time. Now this one has actually got a really nice punchy flavour, and that will impart into the sourdough. Okay, so I've seen a lot of recipes on the internet and nobody tends to use fat in their sourdoughs. I do. It makes a big difference, I believe, in doughs. I'm using slightly above 2%, and I'm using just an olive oil as far as that. You could use a butter. There's various different types. You could use canola oil, but I use a good quality olive oil, extra virgin obviously. So let's get into it. I'm going to get it together on my mixer to start with, but if you don't have a mixer, that's fine. You can just get it together with your fingers. We're going to rest it for half an hour, and then we're going to fully develop the dough. In that rest time, it'll give the gluten enough chance to absorb some of that water, and then yeah, by the time we give it a working over in half an hour, it will be fully developed, even though we're only just bringing it together on the mixer here. Okay, so let's get into it. So I've got my 400 grams of flour, my 9 grams of salt. Now you're wondering why 9 grams of salt when that's slightly above 2% for the 400. It's because I'm using sourdough, and there's the extra 50 grams that I'm going to use 100 grams of the sourdough here, and yeah, the 9% will come, 9 grams will come in right on 2%. Okay, that was a problem I had at the start. I wasn't compensating for the flour content in my sourdough, right? Okay, so I'll just grab a knife. So 100 grams of sourdough into there. Luckily I've got a scale on my mixer here, thanks to Kenwood, thank you. Okay, so it's nice and bubbly, and you can really smell that. Yeah. Almost there. Here we go. Going to cut it off there. There we go. That's my 100. Right. Now I'm going to take that and feed that for another time. Okay. If you're not going to use your sourdough for a couple of weeks, it'll store in the fridge, right? But I've been making sourdough most days or every second day, so it's right on the bench. At the moment, it's spring, autumn for us, so it's kind of a nice ambient sort of temperatures around about 24, 25 most days. Okay, if it's peak of summer and you're hitting 35-degree days and it's in your kitchen, it really will go off very quickly and then just drop back, obviously. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to use a little bit of olive oil, only 2%. So that's 10 grams basically, that works out to. And like always, I always weigh my water. You can use the bits on the side, but you know, they're always going to be very different. Okay, if you want an accurate reading of your water, you're always going to weigh it. I'm going to use 260 grams of water, and this brings it in. That's taking into context the water that's already in your sourdough culture, and I'm taking out the oil out of that as well. Okay, so this brings it in right around the 70% mark, which is spot on for a sourdough. Okay, 65 is a little bit, it's going to be a little bit firm. 70, 75 and over, you can do. That's no dramas, but I find best results with this 70%. Okay. So we're going to go 260 on this. $50.60, spot on, there we go. Now I'm just going to drop that in. I'm just going to bring it together on the mixer. Like I said, I'm going to got a bowl here. We're going to transfer that into the bowl. rest it for half an hour, and then we're going to give it a good working, and then we're going to rest it for another 1 to 2 hours, okay? And that is literally it, folks. We're only just bringing it together. We're not looking at developing it at this stage. You should end up with a dough that looks like that. It's a bit sticky, but people say to cover it with, you know, a damp tea towel. I'm not going to dampen any tea towels. I'll just use a bit of cling wrap, really. Okay. What I find with the cling wrap, and I learnt this as an apprentice, plastic tends to hold all the gas that comes out of the carbon dioxide gas that comes out of the dough, and when it's in touch with that, it'll actually make the dough go off a whole lot quicker. If you don't want your dough to go off as quick, take the plastic cover off. But if you need it to move quick, start putting the plastic cover on. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cling wrap it, and then yeah, we'll be back in half an hour. See you soon. Okay, we're back. All right, so hopefully you've gotten that this far. You've weighed up your dough, you've brought it together, and it's been sitting for about half an hour roughly. It doesn't need to be exact. And what we're going to do now is we're going to develop the dough. So let's have a look at that. Okay, see what that looks like. Okay, so it's been in a steel bowl for half an hour. It should look roughly something like that. Okay, we're just going to wet the hands down. I'll just move the camera angle down so you can see what my hands are going to do. Right. Okay. So we're going to pull this out of the bowl. I've just wet your bench down a little bit. Now what we're going to do is just a series of that sort of thing. I might even do a little bit of pre-shaping the other way. There you go. And that will be fully developed now. It should look something like that. It should be standing up nice and well. Okay, I'll just bring the camera back up so we'll have a chat about this some more. Right, there we go. Okay, so hopefully you'll end up with something like that. At this stage, that will be close enough to fully developed. By the time you do your final shaping, that will develop it even further. Okay, so yeah, I'll get back to this in about 1 to 2 hours, and I'll say that's going to be our bulk ferment stage. We'll put it into a banneton after that, and that will be the final proof before putting it in the oven. Okay, good stuff. Hopefully you've got this far. Okay, welcome back. Our dough has been resting now. We mixed the dough, we developed the dough, and now we're going to shape the dough. Okay, so there's 3 different steps. That's 3 stages. We're going to go into our final proof stage, and then we're going to, after the final proof, we're going to bake. Okay, so the dough's basically, it's about doubled in size, or 1.5 to 3/4 sort of sized. So what we're going to do is we're going to wet down our bench, and we're going to shape it. What we're not going to try and do is squeeze all the bubbles out of it. Okay, so it's got some air pockets that's built up in there. So we're just going to loosely sort of work it and get it into the sort of shape we want, and we're going to put it into what's called a banneton. Okay, and then it's going to rest for its final proof before we bake. Okay, so I'm just going to pull the camera down so you can see my hands. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so there we go. Right, so like I said, I've been using cling wrap over this, so we're going to take that off. We're just going to wet our hands, and I'm just going to give the bench a bit of a quick spray. I'm going to lift it out sort of gently. To be quite honest, that could probably go a little bit more proof, but seeing the banneton I've got is a bit of a longer sort of one, I'm going to go stretch it lengthways like that, and then just slightly get it in like that. Right, okay, we're not going to really overwork it too much, like that, and that is that. I've got a container here, I have some flour in, and I'm going to give it a good roll in that. That's going to stop it from sticking to the material on the banneton. I've floured the banneton very well as well. So here we go, and we're just going to place it nicely in there. And then it's going to proof for, it depends on the strength of your sourdough, people. This could proof for probably a couple of hours, but leave it alone. I'd probably put, you can reuse the Glad wrap over the top of it. Leave it on your bench, I'd say probably 2 hours. And there we go, yeah, let's get that back up there. I'd say probably 2 hours and you should almost be right, okay? Yeah, hopefully you've gotten this far. All right, we'll see you on the next one. I'll be back to bake it, okay, once it's proved. All right, bye. Okay, excuse me, we're back. Okay, hopefully your bread should look something like that. It's filled out the Benetton nicely. Okay, this one, how long is this one? Let me just get a, so that 400 gram loaf, or 400 grams of flour, that's roughly about 25 centimeters long, that Benetton, so it's a fairly decent size loaf at the end of it. Okay, so she's fully proved and I'm quite happy with where it's at. I'm going to turn it out now onto our silicone paper, baking paper, whatever you want to call it, and then we're going to load it into our oven. I've got a nice hot pizza stone in there, and we're going to throw a couple of ice cubes in the bottom, and that'll give it some steam to get up. Okay, so when we turn this out, hopefully it'll stand up nice like that. Just there we go. There we go. And I've got a cutting implement here. You can use a knife. I've got a razor blade. I think these are available pretty much anywhere. And we're just going to give it a slight cut. Now that's going to allow the loaf to bloom. Okay. Right, now all that needs to happen is load it into the oven. Okay. I'll just grab a couple of ice cubes. Okay, so I've got about 3 ice cubes here. I'll actually just pull that round and you can watch me load. Okay, so I've got this nice open-ended tray here. I bought these a little while ago off of eBay. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find any more since. Yeah, so we're going to load this up like a peel into the oven. Okay, okay, ice cubes in. And actually I might even, I'll put a little bit of water around the paper. Just that'll turn into steam as well. Okay. We're going to get it, we're going to load it. There we go. Nice quick movement. And I'll generally bake that. That'll be about 35 minutes on about 240 degrees. Okay, we're coming back as soon as it's out the oven. Alright folks, see you shortly. Okay, so it's been about 35 minutes and I've got the oven on static bake rather than fan force. They say it's better. Let's have a look. Okay. There we go. Not as happy as I would be. I'd prefer a better bloom, but that might be achieved with like a kosh or that sort of thing, where you can conceal the steam over the top of the bread. But overall, I'm quite happy with the result, and I know that's going to be a good loaf. Okay, it's going to taste great. I already know that. Okay, guys, give the recipe a try, and if you're liking it, yeah, there you go. Give us a like. See you next time. Bye.